Hello everyone, this is Max with Avon Website Pro, and today we're going to be talking about more than one variable in Ajax. In the last lesson, I showed you how to do one variable, which was just an email address, and then you hit subscribe, and it showed you the email address. And this what's different about this lesson is I'm going to show you how to do two different form items and have two form items return. And let me show you what you'll be learning here. We'll do Max at A1 Website Pro and then put my name in, hit go, and it simply says the email is Max at A1 Website Pro. The name is Maximus McCullough, and this is Ajax returning this. Okay, so let's do Harley McCullough. All right, and if you hit go, you can see now the name is Harley. If we change the email address to max at a1sold.com, and then you hit go, you can see that the email is indeed changed. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into our lesson. We're going to start out with bare bones HTML. Okay, and we're going to go inside this body tag here, and let's start popping in some code. And we're going to start with the input items, and let me explain these to you. All right, so first we start off with an input type of email. We give it an ID of email. The size is 50. The placeholder is email address, and that is the little thing that you see whenever we first get onto the form. Let me hit. See how it says email address there. The placeholder governs that. And so now we have an input type of text, and we're going to give it an ID of a name. We're going to set the size to 50, and we're going to have that placeholder equal name. Okay. Finally, we're going to create our button, and our type is going to equal button, and then our ID is going to be sub. And then on click, we're going to call this Ajax underscore post function with the parentheses and the little terminator here. Okay, this is the function that we're going to create. And we're going to say go, and then we're going to close out our button tag. All right. Now, if I save this and we go to our browser here, and let me go ahead and refresh, you can see this is what we have. But whenever we put anything in it, and we hit go, nothing happens because we haven't had that script be called. We haven't programmed the script. So let's go ahead and jump down to the next line here. I'm going to put in a div ID of status, and let me explain what this is going to do for us. Whenever we click on this button to click go, the script is going to go out to another page, which is the processor.php. We still have yet to build that. I'll be building that with you. It's going to pull some information, and it's going to put it within this ID of status, like right in there, right in between there. It's going to put us some information. All right, and that's what's going to happen. Now, finally, let's get the script. Let me grab the script for you so you can see how it works. I'm going to paste this script in here. Now notice here we start off with the script tag and we end with the script tag, a closing script tag, just like normal. And we start creating a function called Ajax post. And that's what's being called here when somebody clicks this button on click, all right? Now first of all, we set a variable of HR, which equals new HTTP request. And see the last video because I elaborated on it a little bit further. Okay, and we're going to take and set another variable called URL, and we're going to have it set to processor.php. And you'll notice this processor.php is what we set up, or we created a file called processor.php. Finally, we're going to set another variable called EMM, and notice it says document.getElement by ID email, and it's grabbing whatever value is, and that would be right here. So this ID of email, that's what this particular line is looking for, okay? And then next, we have another variable called name1, and we use document.getElement by ID again, and we're targeting the name ID. And if you look at here, we're taking whatever value is placed in there, and we're grabbing that value and putting it here and storing it in this name. Okay. Now what's different from the last lesson compared to this lesson is we have two different fields. Okay. Now we set the var, a variable called vars, and here we're getting the email. But notice whenever we start setting the second input field, we use this little ampersand, and we give it another variable name. We're going to call it name with an extra E on it, just so you know. And then we say equals, put that little equals. So you need that ampersand and equals sign in there, with inside these quotes. And then you put the plus sign again, and then you grab your variable of name1, which is right here, whatever was in there. Okay. Now we take the email and the name and we store it in the var called vars. We start with HTTP request open, which everywhere you see that HR is with that HTTP request. We're using a method of post, and then the URL. Where's the URL at? Right here, variable of URL, which is going to processor, and then we put true. Okay. Next, we do an HTTP request of set header, set request header, and the content type is application, XWW form URL encoded. Then the next HTTP request is on ready state change. We're going to call this function, okay, if HR ready state equals 4 and HR status equals 200. This is checking to make sure everything is going through okay. If everything's going through okay, we're going to set another variable of return data, okay? And then the HTTP request is response text. So whatever response text we get, what we want to do is go out and notice we're doing this document.getElementById. by ID. We're targeting the status. And let me put this on one line so you can see it makes sense better. We're getting that status. We're getting the inner HTML, and whatever data gets returned, we're going to put in this ID, this div ID right here, right in the center. Okay. Finally, we're going to have an HTTP request, the send function, and we want it to send our vars. And where are our vars at? The email and the name. Okay. So, and then we'll execute this request. Now notice this line right here. Okay. It has document.getElementById status. Once again, very similar to this one, but instead the inner HTML says processing. That's what happens when you first click on it. So if you have a lot of data that it's going to fetch, they'll see processing. Now you might be able to see it for a split second, but you're not, more than likely you're not going to be able to see it at all, because the video, if I was using 1,000 frames a minute, then possibly you could see it. But we're only using 24 frames a minute, so that's why I'm trying to go a little bit slow. Okay. Now, what about this processor.php? We have to code that script. So let me save this one, our processor.php, because if we go here now and, we click go, we refresh the page. Let's go ahead and refresh the page, put the email address in there, put my name in there, and click go. You see processing? It shows up real quick, but doesn't return anything. All right? I hope you can see that, but it's real quick. So let's go ahead and develop our processor script. I'm going to pop in some PHP code here, and I'm going to go over it with you. Now we start off by opening our PHP tag and closing our PHP tag. Let me put that on that line down there. Okay. If is set, post email. We're seeing if the email is set. So that's this var right here, right? We're seeing if that is set. If it's set, then we're going to take that post variable of email and we're going to store it into a PHP variable called email. And then we're also going to take the post name, which was our second variable with the extra E, okay? And we're going to store it into a PHP variable called name, all right? Finally, we're going to echo, and then we start off with our single quote, the email is, and then we have end our quote, and we concatenate with a period. We put in whatever email was entered into this post variable, put another period for concatenation, and then start our string line again. And then I'm going to put in a BR tag, so this puts this information on the second line, and then the name is, then I put in my single quote to end the string. I concatenate with the variable of name, then I put my little semicolon, which is a terminator. I end out with the curly brackets. You notice I have a curly bracket up here, curly bracket here, and then I have my terminator down here. So let's go ahead and save that and test it out. Now, when we click go, notice the processing came up real quick, but we have the email is Max at A1 Website Pro. So let's go ahead and change this to Max at A1Sold.com, and then we'll put Harley McCullough and hit go. The email is Max at A1 Sold. The name is Harley McCullough. So whatever variables that you put in there is what Ajax is going to return for you. This is Max with A1 Website Pro. I hope this tutorial was helpful and informative. Have a nice day.